I'm working on notes. Hang on.
I need a pen and I need to run to the restroom. So, before, oh, you've already got us recording. All right. Hold, please. Okay.
It's time to do that.
You know who Joe Mixon is? The Oklahoma running back that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. You know who Adam Jones is?
Refresh
Pac
my
Man.
memory.
Pac Man.
Adam
He's
Jones.
he's a very good defensive back, kick returner. Um, would have a brilliant career if he didn't keep doing stupid stuff and getting arrested.
Oh, okay. Got you. Another Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
What'd he do?
Just keeps getting stupid, doing stupid stuff and getting arrested. Let's see what the most recent thing he did was. I know he did something in the off season.
Yeah.
We'll see what it is this time.
Something dumb and stealing people. See, you can do two different things here. You can keep doing stupid stuff and be Johnny Manziel and be 20, what, 24, 25, and yeah, you got some money right now, but in 5 to 10 years you're going to be broke as heck and scrambling for a job. Or you can be like Cam Newton, where yeah, you messed up early, but you paid your dues, you played good football, you landed in the NFL, and now you're one of the best players in the league. Johnny Manziel could have been that guy, but he chose not to be. And there's those aren't the only examples. Tim Tebow, much as I don't care for Tim Tebow. Dude, did you watch any of the NFL draft?
I watched the first round, some of the second.
I watched the first 20 minutes of the first round before I went to work the other night. I knew
Mm.
people didn't like Roger Goodell. Those people booed him and
Well,
booed him.
First
and
off, it's Philadelphia. Okay, Philadelphia are the people who booed Santa Claus. Okay, this is true. Okay, they want to boo Santa Claus. All right, Philadelphia boos everybody who isn't an Eagle, a Philly, or a Sixer. All right, so there's that. And secondly, Roger Goodell is really, really hated.
yeah. And I mean, it wasn't just when he first got up there. Like, people booed through the whole thing, his whole opening remarks. He
You
just
didn't know how hated Roger Goodell is?
I knew, but it was like tangentially from a distance. I'd never seen it like that. I was like, okay, these guys really don't like Roger Goodell.
Well, they're Eagles fans, so they hate everyone. But yes, fans really don't like Roger Goodell.
Mm.
And it's long and complicated, and it has to do with the last players agreement, because the players wanted money, so they gave him too much power, and he's abusing that power, and it's really complicated.
Mm. Yeah, you know, those outside organizations are all run by like the mafia, right?
What are we talking about?
The NFL, FIFA, you know, if they're not mobsters, they might as well be. Dude, come on. You know what I'm talking about.
I believe that's true with FIFA. No, I don't believe that's true with the NFL. No,
Okay.
no, not the NFL. Now, the way the 30 owners run the NFL, or 32 owners, or however many it is now, they may as well be mobsters, but no, they're not mobsters.
No, but I mean, you know, it's the same thing. You're just, you know, instead of bootleg liquor, it's sports.
They may as well be. Now, FIFA really are mobsters.
Yes, they are legitimate, actual, you know,
honest to goodness mobsters, which is, you know, why many of them are going to jail, and we're having a friggin' World Cup in Dubai in a desert in a couple of years. I mean,
I thought it was Qatar.
Wherever. Okay.
Yeah.
We're having a World Cup in a desert. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to be playing soccer in a 130-degree desert. Who's
Yeah,
deal with that?
In a stadium built with slave labor.
Yeah.
Actual slave labor.
Literally. Yes. Literally slave labor.
Yeah.
Okay. Really?
Honest to God, genuine slave labor.
These guys are promised a couple of weeks work, and, you know, brought in there, and then they can't get home, and, you know, they're just there, imprisoned, working. Yeah, you've seen stories on it. Google it. It's true.
Oh, dude. We'll talk about it in a minute, but that Civil War book. Anyway.
Not a Civil War book is next week.
Civil War Free Comic Book Day?
Oh, that. Yes, we're going to talk about that.
Okay. Where do you want to do Free Comic Book Day? I guess right there.
Well, you got
right there's a good time. You got Wisdom?
Yeah, I got it pulled up. I was looking for it when you rang.
Okay. You cool with the order of things?
Sure.
All right.
I got it printed and everything.
Cool. You got the intro?
Sure.
Sure. All right. Who are we this week?
We're Pac-Man Jones and Joe Mixon.
All right. Ready when you are. Oh, wait. No. Let me silence my phone. There we go.
Oh, that one's good.
All right. You ready?
Sure.
All right. Counting down in 3.
Hang on. So I didn't mean I really was.
Okay. I didn't think so.
I don't know why you don't let the audio run through all this if you're actually going to record us pre-show.
Do what?
So if you're going to record us pre-show, you should have let the audio run through all this. Instead, you edited all this out.
Oh, yeah, I did.
I know. I don't know why. All right, hit it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Nothing. Hit the record button. Here we go.
Okay. Are you talking about actually like doing something with the B-roll?
No,
okay.
no, go.
All right, fine.
You did something with the B-roll, but you edited out all this.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that again.
I know. Why are you editing this out?
Well, I don't have
You're
to.
going to do something with the B-roll. Leave this in.
Okay, I'll leave it in. Fine.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's why if you're going to leave it in, leave it in. If you don't, if you edit it out, don't edit it out. I mean, it's you want to kick some grins, kick some grins. Leave it in.
I have a plan in place. I have an idea and a plan in place. Don't worry.
Leave the countdown and everything. That's what I'm saying. Leave all this is part of it. Leave it in.
Okay. Oh man, that's funny.
That's what I'm saying. Come on. If I screw the intro up 6 times, leave it in 6 times.
I will, trust me. Dude, honest to God, Scott.
Are we doing a podcast or not?
Yeah, we are. Hang on. This is the podcast. Scott Johnson has been doing podcasts for 15 years. Before it was ever called podcasting, it was just posting an MP3 link on an RSS feed. That man still screws up his show intros at least 3 to 4 times a week. And I mean, like, dang. And sometimes I go, 30,000 people listen to the morning stream, and whatever. It's all fun and games.
It's like the date, the name of the show, our name, the information. You got to get it all in order. And if you mix one up and you get out of order, that's when you start. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's a sequence. If you get out of sequence, that's when you start stumbling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of that, are you ready with the intro?
Dude. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1.
What is up? This is the 6 Month Behind podcast for the week of 4/24/17. I'm Pat.
And I am Sean.
And we're here today. And today maybe, tomorrow maybe somebody else. Who knows? We're here to discuss all things Marvel Unlimited because we just love the Marvel app and Marvel Comics so much that we do it for free. And this week, we're the Joe Mixon and Adam Pac-Man Jones of the Marvel Unlimited world. We just keep screwing up, and we just keep doing it because the Cincinnati Bengals just keep giving us a job. No matter how much we screw up, the Bengals are going to be there to hire us, and, we can keep screwing this up, and we'll just keep doing it. There you go.
Meanwhile, the Bengals will be the degenerate team of the league.
Yeah, and they keep wondering why they're losing.
Yeah, it'll be all the players with rap sheets.
But the team bus will be rolling down the road with weed blowing out the windows.
Oh man,
they'll be having a good time, but they won't be winning any playoff games.
No, not at all.
They'll be getting this close, but they won't be winning those playoff games. There you go.
Oh man, I guess you watched some of the NFL draft.
I watched a little bit of it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
For those who don't know or care, that's a sports thing, specifically football.
Yes.
But we're here to talk about comic books.
We are, and it is a good week in comic books.
It was a great week.
We have some Civil War comic books. We have some things that are post Civil War. And by the way, as we get further and further past Civil War, if you're not looking for spoilers, you're at the wrong place because these books are getting post Civil War. And if you're trying to figure out what's not happening, you're in trouble.
Yeah, there's just no way to avoid spoilers at this point. So if you haven't been keeping up or don't want spoilers on Civil War, you need to just hit the pause button and come back later because Lord knows we're going to spoil stuff.
Go read the comics, go read Civil War, and then come back.
Or you could go send us an email about how you feel about Civil War being published late at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
Or you can go to the website and read about Civil War and how it's shipped late and how screwed up it is at the number 6monthsbehind.com.
And you just posted all the stuff shipping in May, didn't you?
I did. I absolutely did, like 200 friggin' alternate covers. Holy cow.
I'll look through a bunch of those. Those look good. I'm excited for a couple of books that are coming, and it was some good. There were some good covers there. There's some really good art.
I just posted it, and I should know this because I spent so much time looking at it. But what are the new books that are coming next month?
Well, one of them was Fool Killer, which is one of the he's one of the henchmen in the Deadpool books, right?
Yes.
I had no interest in him until I saw Max Bemis was writing it, and I decided I was gonna have to read that book, and I was excited for it because I like him. I like Max.
This month, which actually starts next week or this week, depending on your perspective, we get Avengers #1, Occupy Avengers #1, Unworthy Thor #1. That's really good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man: Renew Your Vows, Invincible Iron Man #1, Riri Williams, Ultimates 2 #1, Venom #1, Fool Killer #1. There's some good stuff coming. The new Black Panther book, Black Panther: World of Wakanda #1.
I'm looking forward to that too. They're really they're going to be fleshing out the Black Panther stuff, and I'm glad because
we're going to talk about that some when I get. I think I'm reviewing the Black Panther book in a little while, and we're going to talk about that. I found some cool stuff about Black Panther before when I was reading this book, and we're going to talk about that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's just dive right in then. Starting with your Civil War books, you had Civil War II Free Comic Book Day. The Free Comic Book Day edition of Civil War.
Tell us about this book.
So we should have gotten this book like 6 months ago.
And why didn't we?
Because it was Free Comic Book Day.
Okay, all right, stop. So when Rhodey died, okay, this is like the first event in Civil War. Tell us what happened.
So here's what happens in the comic book. It takes place right before Civil War. Depicts specifically the ultimate mission in which the events of Civil War begin. It shows us the fight with Thanos and how Rhodey gets killed. Ulysses has the vision of Thanos attempting to steal the Cosmic Cube from the Pegasus facility. The heroes find out. They're waiting for him. Rhodey dies. She-Hulk is seriously injured. There's also a B story about Nadia breaking into Hank Pym's lab to steal Wasp stuff. But the meat of it is this Thanos story that we've seen bits and pieces of, but had not seen the actual events of until now.
When all the Civil War books came out on Unlimited, I kept waiting to see this story be told.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, where is it? Why isn't it here? And I knew it was missing. I knew it was missing. And it's in Free Comic Book Day. It's a free comic book. Okay? It's a free comic. Why can't you put it on Unlimited if it's a free notice the word I'm saying here. Free. Okay? Why can't you put it on Unlimited the day you're supposed to put it there, which was about 6 months ago?
Reminder that this coming Saturday, May 6th is Free Comic Book Day. Go out to your local comic book stores and support them. Pick up some free comic books and maybe spend a little extra cash.
Free.
Yeah.
Okay. We should have got this book 6 months ago.
Yeah.
In Unlimited. Instead, they wait a year.
Well, and the thing is, we didn't get any new information. Not really. We've seen bits and pieces of it, and then we get this, which is the whole thing, and it's just like, it just doesn't make sense from a story standpoint.
Free.
Yes, there's also the bit about it being free. And it confuses you with the Nadia bit because it references Avengers #9, which was what, 3 months ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And here's the thing. Even if you don't have an unlimited subscription, if you go to Marvel.com, there's all kinds of books you can read there for free. because they give away comics for free to try and get you to buy Unlimited. So it's not like they're not giving away free comics on the Marvel app. They give away stuff free all the time. So why can't they give away the free comic book that actually fits into continuity, into the storyline where it's supposed to fit on the day they're supposed to give it away? It's not too hard.
Apparently. But, and consider, it doesn't hurt it narratively. I mean, it fits right into it. So why would you make this decision other than, I don't know why you would make this decision.
You know, I was listening to Rob Jefferson, who I've been listening to a lot this weekend. His
Who's he? Oh, okay, yeah.
Help me out. What's the name of his YouTube channel?
The name of the YouTube channel.
It's the Pull List is his website, but it's a website he and several other people have. Golly, it just escaped me. Anyway, he was talking about Marvel Unlimited, and the problem with Marvel Unlimited is it's so confusing and so bulky for people to use that people can't understand it. And this is why. This is the kind of thing that people have trouble with Marvel Unlimited, and this is why people can't understand it. And this is what drives people away from Marvel Unlimited. It's this sort of thing right here.
Yeah.
This is Comics Explained is his YouTube site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the sort of thing that just, and it's minor because we didn't really get any new information. So it's just it's just a reminder of what happened at the beginning of Civil War if you're reading it in real time. But it would have made more sense to put it out when it was free.
Yes.
You could have put it out on the app when it was free and driven app traffic to the actual physical stores.
What a concept. You could have driven app traffic to the stores. You could have driven store traffic to Marvel Unlimited.
Cross promoting.
There's a concept.
We just invented cross promoting. We should write a book and tell everyone.
What a concept.
We could certainly sell it to the people at Marvel.
Okay, I'm done now.
Okay. So it was a Civil War book. It's actually not a bad book. It's a decent read.
That's what irritated me so much. Is it's a decent read and it fits in the continuity of the story and it belongs in with the story.
It also makes you relate more to Carol because you see her go through that situation, so you understand where she is.
You understand why Rhodey's there. You understand how the team gets together. The whole. I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah, it just didn't make any sense at all to keep it back. Go ahead and tell us about Uncanny Inhumans number 14.
This is this is a good story. This is another issue of a series that's winding down its Civil War arc. Uncanny Inhumans isn't winding down because they're headed toward IVX, Death of X and IVX. Iron Man has launched his counterattack on New Attilan, and he's basically taking all his armors and commanding them by remote control and is attacking New Attilan and all the Inhumans. And does a pretty good job of it, actually. He captures Black Bolt, sets up a defense shield around the throne, then sets up a defense shield around New Attilan, and commands Medusa to surrender. And it's pretty entertaining, actually. And eventually Karnak and some of the other young Inhumans do. And it's ISO who actually rallies the Inhumans. And Karnak makes an explanation as to why he can't, but she does. And my friggin' app just went from page to panel, which you enjoy and I don't. So they wind up fighting all of the armors. And at this point, Tony didn't mind. It's funny. He didn't mind losing. He didn't mind the consequences. He just didn't want it to become personal. And he felt like Medusa crossed the line, and he made it very clear that she crossed the line. And they both realized that Maximus is responsible, and then Triton steps up and accepts responsibility for it. And they basically reach a truce when Triton turns himself in, and Tony accepts it. And as Tony's leaving, he looks at Medusa and very clearly says, I want to say something crude. Get your house in order. And I think that was a very nice way of putting it, because that's not what he's intended. And you understand that Medusa's got real problems there with her throne.
Yeah, she's and to be fair, it wasn't an easy throne to take over from her husband, but she's maybe not doing the best job.
Yeah. And it's a good story. It
was really good.
This Uncanny Inhuman book, and we've talked about this ad nauseum every time one of these Uncanny Inhuman books come out. It started slow, but this has been a very good arc for it. And I can tell you these arcs continue as the IVX books continue. This storyline continues and it gets good.
Okay, so it sounds like it's really hitting its stride.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, cool. Because I did really enjoy this.
Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah, you got Iron Man, you got Medusa. He's doing stuff with the armor. You got Karnak.
Yeah,
you got Maximus. You had a bunch of fun characters together doing cool stuff.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. And the only other Civil War book we had this week was Kingpin #4, which has also been really good.
This was good. Some of these, there was like the Hercules book, and what else was there? There was a Hercules book, the Spider-Man book, the Kingpin book. Was that it?
I think so.
I think that was it.
Well, and this Kingpin book, you had the one with the 3 stories.
Right. This Kingpin book by far has been the best of the series.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So after being seriously injured in his altercation with the Punisher in the last issue, Wilson Fisk has been apprehended by S.H.I.E.L.D. They patch him up and they basically tell the world that Wilson Fisk is dead, and they intend to keep him locked up and use him for information. That's the strategy here. Meanwhile, Janus is in the wake of the news of the Kingpin's death, has quickly taken over his criminal empire. He just moved right on in and took it over. But Fisk is pretty clever, so he's able to get a message to his most loyal people, and they take out the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and all the people who set Fisk up. They ruin the career of this one particular S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. And it's pretty gruesome. It's very much a hit job mob story type thing where, you got Turk gets pulled over by a guy and he shoots a bunch of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and, he basically just starts killing people. So, the Kingpin's lawyer shows up and he's with Maria Hill. They, with a list of a bunch of charges that he's brought up against S.H.I.E.L.D., and he gets out of prison on a technicality. So having displayed his abilities and why he's the Kingpin, he goes to confront Janus. And I'm not going to spoil the last couple pages for you, because the way he deals with Janus is it's why he's the Kingpin, man.
Yeah, that is why he's the Kingpin. And in a few months, we're going to get an ongoing Kingpin series. I wonder if it's by the same creative team.
It could be, because they tease it here at the end. And if it is, I'm excited for it, because this particular issue, it really got me excited for that series.
Yeah, but because what they've done here is they don't paint the Kingpin as completely evil or completely good. They paint him as kind of a Tony Soprano character who's just trying to maintain the balance of power in his area. He's not good, he's not bad, he's just trying to keep
what he has to maintain balance, like you said.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they've made him here. It's like somebody's got to be in charge, so it may as well be me, and it's better me than someone else. Is how they've painted him. And it's an interesting concept that I don't think I've ever seen done with Kingpin before.
They kind of do it in the Daredevil show.
Yeah, they do it in the Daredevil show. You're right, but I don't think I've ever seen it done in print before.
Yeah, no, and I think they're definitely adapting that from the Daredevil show, because it was really popular.
Right.
It's an interesting direction to take the character, for sure.
It is.
Art's really good too. It's not my favorite, but the particularly that ending scene with Janus, the way it's framed, and the way the story is told through the panels is really cool.
Yeah.
Moving on to our Spider-Man books, we have Amazing Spider-Man number 20.
Yeah, which is a clone conspiracy tie-in, which we know I'm all excited about. And it's really interesting. We began, or left, I should say, the last issue. We began this issue with the return of Dr. Octopus in his body, and this issue explains how he got there. Now, I'm going to make this very brief. If you didn't read Superior Spider-Man, that's where Dr. Octopus took over Spider-Man's body. And at the end of that, he took his body and downloaded it into the brain, which you've seen for the last X number of issues in Spider-Man. Then at
the Goofy robot.
The Goofy robot. Then at the...
By the way, if you never read Superior Spider-Man, go back and read it.
It's a great book. When that ended, he downloaded one of his brain into one of his little spider bots that he had when he was Superior Spider-Man.
Peter Parker.
When he was Peter Parker, but when he was Superior Spider-Man, he created these little spider bots, and he basically downloaded his brain, his intelligence into that. And somehow, I really don't care how, he followed it to the cloning facility. I don't know or care how he got there, but he did. So he gets there, and it's really pretty cool. He sees them actually digging up and cloning his body.
Yeah, his physical dead body.
Right, his physical dead body. And at that point, you realize that they explain how the memory process works, how these clones get their memory. And what happens is the clone, and this I assume this will be important in the ongoing story of the clone conspiracy, but the clone is left with the last memory of when it died. Now, Dr. Octopus's body's last memory was with Peter Parker in charge. So if the body is resurrected with Peter Parker's mind in it, well, then Peter Parker will be in the body. So Doc Octopus realizes this, has to have his little spider thing climb up the back. This sounds like a comic book. Has to climb up the back, and then they get in the mind, and they have to fight for who's going to be in control of the body.
Yeah, like it's the mental consciousnesses of Doc Ock and Spider-Man fighting it out for domination of the body.
Yeah, and the Jackal watches this, and he's like, well, I don't know what's happening in there, but it looks pretty cool. He's like,
get me some popcorn.
Yeah, and literally they get him popcorn, and he just stands back and watch, because he's like, this is fun. I don't know what's going on, but yeah. And when it's done, the Jackal says, well, how do I know it's really you? And he's like, well, it's me, because the arms only respond to me. They don't respond to anyone else. They only, and the arms literally come to him because it's, what's his real name? Otto Octavius?
Otto Octavius, yeah.
Yeah. And and that's when you realize that's how he crushes Spider-Man, and that's how we got here. Yeah, and there's a couple other little spoilers there, a couple of pages from the end I won't tell you about, but I'm glad they finally resolved this whole Doc Ock in a robot thing and got him back in his body. And
yeah,
I'm glad they resolved that storyline and we're moving on to something else.
Yeah, because him being an angsty robot was getting a little weird. Yeah,
it was getting a little weird. It was getting a little old. So we're moving past that storyline, and I'm glad. And there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essential issue for this story. If you're putting Doc Ock back in his body, you got to have this issue. So I think it was a good place for it. And that cover is rad. Alex Ross killing it as always.
I didn't even mention it because all you got to do is say it's an Alex Ross cover. It's great. Let's move on.
Yeah. You know what else had a great cover? Spider-Gwen number 13.
Okay, let's just say
we. You know what else is great? The Spider-Gwen number 13.
Dude,
this book is fantastic.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It sucks.
It doesn't suck at all.
Recap it.
Okay. So first of all, the name of it's a one-shot Halloween issue. Entitled Spider-Gwen and the Mary Janes Meet Mysterio. So Mary Jane Watson, Betty Brant. I forget who the other one is.
One of
And-
Gina. Gina. I won't say Gina Davis. I don't think that's right. It's
no, it's not Gina
It's
Davis.
Gina something. It's
Or is it
she's
Liz
been around
Allen?
forever. Yeah, but she's been around forever.
Anyway, and Gwen Stacy, they're all out trick or treating. It's Halloween night. They're out trick or treating.
Now
They've
you're
all-
stumbling over your words.
Gwen's kind of being morose because she doesn't have her powers and her dad's in jail. Anyway, they decide to go visit this haunted carnival or this old abandoned carnival. And there's this title page that looks like a movie poster. And the Mary Jane's in the Night of the Living Dread. And there's this use of like purple smoke, and there's the carnival in the distance and there's the moon in the sky with a picture of Mysterio. And dude, I would hang this on my wall. I would absolutely hang a large print of this on my wall. Are you looking at the book?
No, I'm looking at Silk, which I got to talk about next. But I'm going to look at this book so I can look at this stupid painting you're talking about, which looks so bad.
It doesn't look bad at all. The use of color here is magnificent. The lines, the angles are great. And this whole book is just, and you got to read this in Smart Panel. You got to read it panel to panel, because the way the panels tell the story when you read them in sequential order, not having seen the other panels, is what really makes this book. So anyway, they hike through the woods in their costumes.
It ain't that great.
It's great. To this haunted carnival that was owned by a Mr. Mysterio. And you know, it's got this whole thing about how Mr. Mysterio killed a bunch of people in his carnival and all this stuff. And so they're running around not realizing who they're going to run into, which we know. They fall through a trap door. They get dosed with the Mysterio gas. They all start hallucinating. Gwen Stacy starts having a hallucination about Peter Parker, and he's dead and he's a zombie, and he's, you know, the mental image of Peter Parker is torturing her. The other three are they're having this vision about being chased by zombies. And Betty Brant goes on a zombie killing murder spree that's just absolutely insane. She eventually runs into Mysterio himself, not realizing who he is. He gets away. She blows up all the zombies, nearly killing all the Mary Janes and Gwen Stacy. And then she's just like, yeah, next time we're just going to stay in the city. Worst near-death experience ever. You know, the rent in Brooklyn's way scarier than this place. And dude, Glory Grant is the other member.
Gloria Grant. What'd I say?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Gina Davis.
What'd I say? Whatever. Gloria
Dude.
Grant, Gina Davis, same thing.
I first of all, it hits a lot of strings for me. One of which is, you know, Halloween special thing going on. It reminds me a lot of this story that I both read and saw as a kid. You might be familiar with, called The Halloween Tree.
No.
No? Okay. Basically these kids get together to go trick-or-treating on a Halloween night. One of their friends has died of an appendicitis. They find his ghost, follow his ghost through the woods to this old guy's house, and he takes them on a trip through time. Anyway, it had that whole vibe going. I really enjoyed the art and the color in this book, and hot dang, more of this, please.
No.
Well, what do you not like about it?
All right. First off, you have a great story going with the Punisher, Matt Murdock / Kingpin, everything. You left us on the edge of our seats with the last issue where she makes a deal with Murdock.
Yeah, with the Kingpin.
And that's nowhere to be found. Just go.
Yeah, they'll get back to it next issue.
Not even a mention of it.
If you look at the last page, they get back to it in the next one.
I understand, but you just gave us a filler issue for no reason.
It's not, well, it might be a filler issue, but it's a Halloween themed filler issue, and it's a great one.
It's a filler issue.
It could have been an annual. It's a filler issue. It's one of the best I've ever read, and they can keep doing this forever. In fact,
a filler issue.
Can we have a book where Gwen Stacy and the Mary Janes just go to old creepy places and solve mysteries like Scooby-Doo?
No.
I will totally read that.
And I totally won't.
That's fine. I'll read it, review it. I'll do whatever. I'll buy it in the store.
The art simply, let's just agree to disagree on the art style.
Okay.
Okay. I see what you're saying about the colors. I do appreciate the colors. Okay.
It's just not an art style that you're into.
It's not an art style I'm into. I see what you're saying about the colors. It's a very Halloweenish color, and it's a good use of color. I'm just not into the art style.
Oh man, this book, it just scratched all my itches. Let me tell you this. I called Bob this afternoon. He has a copy of this, and I'm going to go in there tomorrow and pick it up, and probably a couple of trade paperbacks.
You actually called Bob to see if he had it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'm glad you liked it that much.
Man,
I am.
I really enjoyed it.
And I'm glad you're going to see Bob. That's
me too.
That's good.
Oh man. All this Spider-Gwen stuff is great. It's one of the best things they're doing right now. It's world building. It's universe building.
Here's the thing. It is. And it's world building, it's universe building, it's all of that. And they left every bit of it aside to give us a crappy one-shot filler issue.
No, because we've never seen Mysterio in this world before.
So
now we've seen him.
You left your whole story hanging to give us this.
Okay. I thought it was good. I thought it was very good.
Okay, all whatever.
Right. Tell us about Silk number 13, which was also very good.
Yeah, this is just the wrap-up issue. They have been in the negative zone. Silk and her two friends looking for her mom and dad, and they finally find her mom and dad. You get some some backstory here on her mom and dad, and let's just say, they defeat the other army. She finds her mom. They go and rescue her dad. They get out of the negative zone. Everyone lives happily ever after. The dragon lives happily ever after. They find the doorway out. Bobby Morrissey sets them up with a safe house to live in for a while. And then there's some stuff going on with her dad at the end involving the clone conspiracy, which I'm really not sure what's going on. And there you go.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find out more about that. But I actually really enjoyed this.
I did too. This has been a surprisingly good book. There's some books that we read all these books every month, and we don't think some of them are going to be good. And this book has been surprisingly good that I've enjoyed. It's one of those. It's just kind of.
It's consistent.
It's consistent, and that's what upset me so much about that Spider-Gwen book was I was really looking forward to seeing the story progress, and it didn't. It didn't progress anything they were doing, and that's why I didn't like it. Was it just didn't progress the storyline that they had spent 12 previous issues developing.
I understand, and I'm interested to get there too. But I thought it was a really neat interlude.
Right, and what they did here is they wrapped up. This is issue number 13. They wrapped up the storyline and they reunited her with her parents. And there's obviously something hokey going on with her dad, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and another thing is like you took this to a weird place. Silk goes to the negative zone, finds her parents. Her and her two gay best friends find a talking dragon, and they have a sword fight with a bunch of evil knights. And it's like, whoa, what? Like, to me and you, we're nerds, and we're like, yeah, okay, totally. Yeah, I'm there with you. Other people might go, what? I thought I was reading a Spider-Man book. But they were able to do it in a way that it didn't feel like it was just, jammed in there.
Right.
It felt natural to the story.
Sure.
Yeah. Good book.
Yeah, it was a good read.
Spider-Woman number 12 was a pretty good read, too. This is kind of what this book has just become. It's kind of just Jessica Drew being a mom, and it's fine. But she also does Spider-Woman stuff. So it's Jessica Drew's day off, and she and the baby meet up with Roger and his daughter to have a day at the beach. This is all spoiled by Sandman, who shows up and starts wrecking the place because he's mad because he had a confrontation with Spider-Man earlier in the day, and that didn't go well. So now he's just looking for, a drink and to blow off some steam. And he gets mad when the guy at the bar won't serve him drinks. So since it's Jessica's day off, Roger has to suit up as Porcupine, thank you, and deal with Sandman. Roger gets his butt handed to him for a while until he finally figures out how to exploit Sandman's weakness. And then everybody goes back to having a nice day at the beach. That's, it's fine. I wouldn't pay $3.99 for it, but I'll read it. It's fine.
Here's one of the things that people say is wrong with Marvel. And I don't remember if this went on for 1 page or 2 pages, and I'm not looking at the book. I'm getting ready to talk about 32 pages of Death of X.
Yeah.
It was either 1 or 2 pages of Jessica preaching to Roger about sunscreen. Now, this is a comic book. It's a superhero book. He's getting ready to fight Sandman. Why do I need a page or 2 being preached out about sunscreen?
Because it's important to wear sunscreen, but also it's dialogue between the characters.
I understand it's important to wear sunscreen. I don't doubt it. I got a bald head, and brother, trust me, I need sunscreen, usually a bald cap on it. But is it Marvel's place to tell me to wear sunscreen? I'm asking rhetorically. I'm not picking a fight with you. I'm asking rhetorically.
Okay. What's your point?
There are many, many people out there who would tell you that's 2 wasted pages.
Okay.
And that's 2 pages you could have done something better with than Roger arguing with her that he's got a hairy body and he doesn't need sunscreen, and Jessica telling him that for the sake of his daughter, he needs to put sunscreen on and she's going to beat him up if he doesn't wear sunscreen all the time.
I mean, I'm not reading Spider-Woman for its, groundbreaking philosophy.
That's the point. You're not reading Spider-Woman for its political views, which is what you're getting right there.
Sunscreen is not a political view.
It is when you get beat over the head with it for a page or 2.
No, it's not. Wear sunscreen.
Dude, if you get 1 line about it, it's not. If you get a page or 2, it is.
I don't. I think it's just some dialogue between the characters. I don't think it's a message for Marvel saying you better wear sunscreen. And even if it is, so what?
I can send you articles, or I could post articles where people would say, this is Marvel being political, and this is what's wrong with their comic books, and this is why the comics aren't selling.
It's sunscreen.
Dude, I understand. It's also Captain America being a Nazi.
Yeah, those are 2 different things. Sunscreen and Captain America are 2 different things.
Not when you're going, not when every comic book, not every comic book, but a lot of the comic books are taking these stands along the way.
Yeah.
Because how far is it from that to Bobby Morrissey wearing a T-shirt saying, ask me about my feminist agenda?
Who cares?
A whole bunch of people who ran her off Twitter, who ran the writer of the book off Twitter.
I'm with you. I'm just saying that
no one should, but they would say this is what's causing Marvel problems.
2 pages about sunscreen isn't causing anybody any problems about anything.
A T-shirt on the front of a Mockingbird book should go ahead.
The Mockingbird thing, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. I got no time for those neck-bearded basement-dwelling nerds. I hold them in utter contempt because you know what? If you don't like the idea of Mockingbird being written as a radical feminist, and it's not even that radical for real, and and you have a problem with her wearing a shirt that says "Ask me about my feminist agenda," just don't buy the comic book or read it.
Okay, we'll circle back around to this when we get to
Change the
Mockingbird.
channel. I got other problems with that Mockingbird book, and it ain't the cover.
That Mockingbird book was, the sales were in the dumper before that cover came out, man, and there's a reason for it.
All right, moving on to Death of X number 2.
Anyway, I'm just making a point here that and I'm not saying I even agree with it.
No, I know.
Okay.
I understand what you're trying to say, but
I'm just saying this is the point, and I've read a lot of articles, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't put them on the website because I don't agree with them. Okay, and they several of them have come from websites that are so far out there that I don't agree with the websites.
yeah,
But it's what people are saying, and it's what one of the editors at Marvel said. So
yeah.
there you go.
We've talked about that at length.
So anyway, all right, Death of X.
Well, hang on.
Yeah, go ahead. All right, go ahead.
If you've got a problem with the sunscreen thing, if you've got a problem with having political discussions in your comic books, not being beaten over the head with left-wing propaganda or right-wing propaganda, just it showing up in the storytelling, either don't buy the comic book or go buy the comic book and then turn it sideways and shove it up your ass. Because I just don't care. And you know me, dude. Like you know my political positions. I don't care. I don't care about your idea that somehow Marvel making political statements in their comic books is a bad thing.
I agree.
Yeah,
I because I'm to the point to where on this issue I'm almost a libertarian because I believe that the free market system will sort itself out.
right.
If Marvel goes too far in one direction or the other, people will stop buying the comic books, and it'll work itself out.
Oh yeah, I mean, if it was all politics all the time and they were really beating it,
Dude,
I probably would jump off the ship.
Right. It would
But,
work
you know.
itself out because their sales would be in a dumper. And,
Right.
And that's how the market corrects itself. So there you go.
Yeah, those guys who don't like Kamala Khan can just, well, I just told you.
Anywho,
Death of X number 2.
Death of X number 2. This book is picking up speed in this issue, I should say. And it begins in New Attilan, where the two leaders of the groups, the Inhumans and Storm, there's a hilarious scene that I think is often overlooked, and we'll look back years from now, where Medusa's hair was wet in that A-Force issue.
Mm-hmm.
That was just hilarious.
Yeah.
Because you look at it and it's just so big at times. And you think, what would you do with that mess if it was wet?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Anyway, she lost her powers and it was wet and she couldn't control it. And it was just kind of like hanging for like 20 feet long and she couldn't control it. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm looking at one of these panels where she's talking to Storm. So she and Storm are talking and they're discussing the fact that Terrigenesis clouds are killing mutants. And Medusa's having a hard time wrapping her brain around it, and Beast is confirming it, and a couple of her scientists are confirming it. And they're about to reach an understanding, and they're having an intelligent discussion when Cyclops uses the power of Emma Frost and the Three Cuckoos. And if you're not familiar with the Cuckoos, you should be, because they're like my favorite. I got my A-list favorite characters, like, I don't know, Magneto and people like that. And then they're like, your second tier favorite characters. And the Cuckoos are like my second tier favorite characters.
Yeah. They're interesting.
They're interesting. I mean, they're interesting. So anyway, Emma and the Cuckoos are taking Cyclops, and he is sending a message mentally to everyone on the planet, telling them that the Inhumans are killing the mutants, and they're doing it intentionally, and they knew what they were doing, and that they're not only killing the Inhumans, they're probably going to kill humans too, and the Terrigenesis clouds are dangerous, and everybody needs to run for their lives. Now, that's the short version but that's it. And needless to say, the peace treaty that Storm and Medusa were trying to negotiate goes down the drain pretty much at that point. And right about that time, the Terrigenesis cloud is closing in somewhere. I don't even know. But Crystal and her team go and try and evacuate the cloud. And about that time, Storm shows up to try and help. And some of Storm's team shows up to assist. And the only thing that they can do is take the Inhuman, hard to keep them apart these days, and basically just put everyone in the town to sleep. And as that's happening, Emma Frost reaches out to a certain master of magnetism for help in this situation, and that's the end of the issue. And how do we think that's going to end in issue 3 or begin in issue 3?
Yeah. And the very last page here, you see a preview of the cover for Death of X number 3. That's a cool image, man.
Yeah, it is. It is. And
I really like the art in this book.
This has got some good art in it. And there's some, holy cow, and all those alternate colors I put up, because this thing's actually shipping on time. It's an amazing concept. So both issues are coming out in May, and there's some great alternate covers for issues 3 and 4.
Yeah. Aaron Cooter did the pencils here. Also the same guy that's doing that Civil War Kingpin book. I'll tell you what, man, this art, you know what I like this so much? It's the use of color, but the art itself reminds me of Frank Quietly's art.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy his stuff too. So, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, it's a good story, and it's going somewhere. And I enjoyed it the first time I read it. I'm enjoying it this time.
Yeah, same here. What doesn't seem to be going anywhere is All New X-Men. We had All New X-Men number 14. We keep getting like individual X-Men stories in this book. Each issue seems to be like self-contained X-Men stories. So after his confrontation with Toad, Scott Summers is nursing a broken leg and can't go out with his friends or do superhero stuff or go to the bar and watch Bobby fail at hitting on gay guys. So the next best thing he decides to do is video games. He's going to play video games. Except Beast has been holed up in his lab for days and finally emerges, only to offer vague excuses as to what he's up to and to get some oranges because vitamin C is important. So this gets Scott's curiosity up, and he spends the next hour trying to like break into Beast's lab. One of which involves a multi-dimensional escape hatch that doesn't pan out for him. So finally he just gives up when he's suddenly attacked by a giant pink tentacle monster from outside the trailer. It's implied in here that Beast had something to do with it because of what we saw with Beast earlier. But anyway, he manages to subdue the creature, or so he thinks.
It's not as bad as some of these books have been.
No.
But I'm like you. I don't understand why we keep getting solo stories with these characters. And I just...
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. It's not as bad as X-Men 92, which, you know.
Did you read it? I didn't. I shoved that thing overboard.
I literally, while you were discussing All New X-Men 14, I thumbed through X-Men 92, and that's how much I read it.
Okay. Well, it's there if you want to read it. Well, do you know what it's about?
They're still fighting the Imperial Guard, and Apocalypse is there, and I don't know. Don't care.
Okay. Well, moving on to our 616 books.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If you like some of these books, we don't hate you for it. We're not down on you for it. We're just we only have so much time, and I don't know, man. I don't have time for X-Men 92.
Yeah, it's one of those that I'll skim occasionally, but I'm not really gonna, if you're loving it, let us know and maybe we'll review it. if you want to hear us review it. But otherwise, it just gets a brief mention. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry for your luck.
What was really good was Infamous Iron Man #1. It's written by Brian Michael Bendis. You have great art by Alex Maleev, who I always enjoy doing, not just his art, but specifically when he's doing Iron Man and Tony Stark is just really, really good. So the former supervillain Victor Von Doom has been helping Tony Stark avert world-ending disasters lately. And if you remember at the end of Secret Wars, when the power of God or whatever is transferred from Doom to Reed Richards, and the universe resets, Reed Richards gives him a gift, which is he fixes his face. He's actually a nice looking guy now. So he's got this idea in his head that he's gonna make amends for all the things that he did in his earlier life as a supervillain. So given the recent consequences of the Second Civil War, which here they are, we told you about spoilers. Tony Stark is left in some sort of coma-like state. Meanwhile, the only thing that really exists of him right now is a digital copy of his mind. He basically digitized his personality and brain and memories and everything and put it into a living AI, much like Friday is, that runs his Iron Man armor. So that's where we are at the end of Civil War. So Doom wants to find another way to fulfill his vision of making up for his past, and he does this by saving Maria Hill from a supervillain who's trying to interrogate her. Did you know who that was?
No.
I didn't either.
Of course, it's been a week since I've read the book, and I've read about 30 books since then. So, and I'm not looking at it. I'm reading the book. I'm looking at the book I'm about to review, but no.
Okay. I didn't know who it was either. I thought maybe there'll be, I don't know, it would give some context.
Excuse my coughing.
So Dr. Doom easily dispatches this villain in very Dr. Doom-like fashions, leaving Maria Hill to just go, what just happened? I just got saved by Dr. Doom. What? He then visits Dr. Amara, who previously dated Tony Stark and is working to cure Alzheimer's disease. After having a rather ominous conversation with Dr. Doom, he leaves and Ben Grimm shows up, asking questions about her contact with Doom. And dude, this poor woman just wants to go back to her old life before superheroes kept showing up, where she's just working in a lab, doing her thing, and not having Dr. Doom pop in and out of her room every 10 minutes.
That's Diablo.
Diablo, okay.
He's an old Fantastic Four villain.
Oh, okay.
He does a lot with chemicals and mysticism.
Okay, makes sense. So later on, Victor Von Doom is in Tony Stark's lab, and Doom is observing the Iron Man mask. That's when the digital essence of Tony Stark appears and begins talking to him. Doom reveals that he intends to pick up Tony's mantle and become Iron Man. There's some other stuff at the end that I didn't quite understand, and I'll just let you not be spoiled on that. But yeah, man, Doom, Victor Von Doom is a good guy, and now he's Iron Man, and I'm really excited about this. I think this is going to be really good. I think this is the superior Spider-Man treatment for Iron Man, and I really hope it pans out.
Well, yeah, kind of. I mean, they did the Superior Iron Man, but
right. But I'm saying a villain takes over the role of a superhero and does it better.
Right.
That's what this could be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to it. Yep. That brings us to Black Panther #7. Please excuse my coughing. This is written by Ta-Nehisi Coates, who later this month will launch a second Black Panther book. And You and I've discussed the fact that this book is like The West Wing and some of its intrigue and how complicated it is.
Yeah.
And somewhere on here, on one of these pages, I saw a note that says you can go to Marvel.com and learn more about Wakanda at this. And I thought, oh, okay. So, here it is, Marvel.com/Panther Nation.
Okay.
So I went there, and there's like a 3 to 5 minute YouTube video where Ta-Nehisi Coates explains each issue. He explains the character in it. He explains the character development in it. He explains who everybody is. He explains what's happening and explains basically what's going on, how it relates to Africa and the modern world, how it relates to T'Challa being king. It's really cool. Not only that,
it sounds cool. I'm going to go check that out.
He's got modern artists writing original scores for it. So not only do you got this cool video, you got Ta-Nehisi Coates sitting there doing these things. It's set to the art of the comic book, but you've got original artists. Like with this issue, let me thumb to the back real quick. With this issue, I can't tell you this guy's name.
Stillfreeze?
Yes, wrote a song for it. So it's just totally. There's some great videos. And you learn what's going on because this can be hard to follow. It's a lot of characters and a lot of moving parts to keep up with. And those videos are cool. I mean, you sit there and watch the video, you're like, oh, now I understand who that person is and how it relates to this person, how it relates to that person. Because you really enjoy this book, but there's, at least I do, and I think you do, Sean.
Yeah, I love this book.
But there's so many moving parts, it can be complicated to keep up with at times.
Right, or like the biggest thing is who the characters are and how they all relate to each other.
Yeah, it's like a Tom Clancy novel where at the front of a Tom Clancy novel, there's like a list of characters and there's like 50 characters there. And every now and then I got to flip to the front of it to remember who everybody is.
Right.
And that's what I feel like. That's what I feel like I need with this Black Panther book. I need a character sheet to keep track of who all these people are.
Absolutely. So yeah, something like that would be a nice little primer.
And those videos are totally cool. I mean, they're obviously done by Marvel. They're professionally done. They're really cool. Anyway, issue 7 here opens with Stane, who has captured Black Panther and thinks he has the upper hand on him. Except at that point, Luke Cage, I just forgot the other guy's name, Misty Knight, Storm, and Manifold, that's who it is, come to his rescue. And it's pretty funny because the Black Panther proceeds to beat up Stane with his hands tied behind his back. Which literally with his hands tied behind his back, which is pretty entertaining. And we see the Black Panther's old teacher, who is his stepmother's friend, out in the woods, and they're discussing his teachings. And he realized that his students have taken his teachings a step too far. And we kind of go back and forth between the Black Panther and what do we call this group? Not the Corps, but
the Crew.
The Crew. Thank you. The Crew. And back and forth between them. And his sister is on a ghost walk in Africa, which is explained in these videos, with her dead mother. By the way, they're both dead. They're on a walk in Africa as they're dead. I assume they're going to bring her back to life at some point, which would be the only way, the reason that we're spending issue after issue after issue on her walk in Africa as she's dead.
That would make sense.
Yes. So we cut to a few panels of her as they tell the story of a young man chasing a lion. And then we go back to, I cannot remember the old gentleman's name, but he's talking to his 2 students, and I believe they kill him. If they didn't kill him, they certainly morally wounded him.
Yeah.
And because they have taken his teaching to an extreme, and that brings us to the next issue.
Yeah, great stuff, man.
It's very good.
Yeah, if you like political intrigue, this is the book to be reading.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Captain America Sam Wilson, number 14. A bunch of rich people are taken hostage by a terrorist. Both Captain Americas are called in to resolve the situation. Sam botches a shield throw, and a rich guy gets shot. Turns out it was Hydra Cap scheming that caused him to miss the shot. That's basically the synopsis of this book.
Is that it?
Yeah. There's some other stuff with Rick Jones and like what's going on with, you know, the flavor that we've had with this Sam Wilson book and all the politics that go on with it. And, you know, there's the conversation with Cap and Sam in the elevator about the handshake and his PR problems. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Next up is A-Force number 10. I realized you couldn't read it.
Nope. Haven't been able to read the last 3 issues of A-Force.
Can you get it open?
No, couldn't even get it open.
Really irritates me. I'll send you a screenshot at some point as we progress, because the cover of this book is just made to sell to young teenage men. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And that just irritates me when you just so blatantly sell sexuality that in this day and age, you still have to sell comic books like that.
You don't have to sell comic books like that. They choose to.
They choose to. And that just, it irritates me that they do so. And it's, you know, I posted some covers of the Riri Williams book. And,
right, yeah.
And, you know, that issue was discussed 6 months ago, but I'm looking at that thinking, well, we'll discuss that in a few weeks. You know, this is just, it's just not necessary.
No,
anyway.
I mean, does it sell? Of course it sells, but it sells to the lowest common denominator. And yeah, man, you don't have to sell comic books that way.
No, instead make it about great writing, which this may not be the greatest, but this is very good. Because what happens is Nico is down to the point where the only way she can free these people is to kill the demon that caused all this. And everyone is changed into a demon, and she manages to get the demon converted to a human or to a humanoid form. But the only way she's going to set everyone free and keep everyone free is to kill the demon permanently. And the demon tells her that, and she knows it, but she still has to do it. And it's what she and Miss Marvel fought about. It's what Miss Marvel wanted to arrest her for. It's what the whole issue was. And, you know, it's the moral discussion that's been going on throughout Civil War, throughout this book. And that is what should have sold this book, not that cover. And it's a good book. It's a good book. It's a good story. It's the crux of the entire Civil War story. And it's extremely well written. So there you go. It's a good book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Would have loved to have read it.
Yep.
Then we got Carnage number, was it 13? Yeah. Art's, I like the art in this book. I particularly like the cover too. We had a bunch of good covers this week. That Infamous Iron Man cover is really good. That Kingpin cover is cool. The Death of X cover is neat. But story-wise, Carnage continues his journey into the Temple of Chthon, and by guidance of the Darkhold, finally finds the altar he's been looking for. So maybe next issue this book will go somewhere, but it's not. We just got there at the end of this one, so we'll see.
Has this book just completely jumped the shark?
No.
They've been on the island for like...
It's dragging its feet. It's dragging
They've been on the island for
like
like...
3 or 4 issues.
I don't even know how long.
3 or 4 issues.
Okay.
And I'm really... I just want them to get to where they're going. You know, they're trying to stretch this out over, I guess, 24 issues. And you could have probably done it in 12 to 16.
12.
Yeah, probably. Probably so. It's not a bad book for real. It's just really dragging its feet. If you're into Lovecraftian horror, like we've discussed before, this is the book to be reading, particularly this issue. But it's taking forever to get there.
Right.
Speaking of taking forever to get anywhere.
Dude, the Ant-Man had a trial. A supervillain showed up. He fought the supervillain. He convinced the judge he was actually a good guy. He got acquitted. You live happily ever after. Hooray.
Yeah, he and his
Final-
family are reunited again.
Final issue. There you go.
Yeah, it was the last issue. Thank God. I can't believe it made it 13 issues.
That's
It actually wasn't as bad as the previous issues have been. It was a little better, but it was too little too late, and I'm glad it's over.
Dude, no doubt, man.
Mockingbird number 8. So this was the cover that sent the nerd world into chaos a few months ago. And we've discussed it before. On the cover, she's wearing a shirt that says, "Ask me about my feminist agenda." Apparently, feminist agendas make people mad.
For some reason.
People don't understand what feminism is the problem. They think it's women who hate men, and it's not. It just stands for, the equal treatment of women in life in the workplace. And a bunch of other things too, but it's female empowerment, and I don't know why people have a problem with that. Just on a fundamental level. But, what do I know? I'm just a big dumb liberal.
Oh God. Leave that alone.
Yeah. Anyway, my problem with this book is not the cover. It's the content of the story, which is goofy and silly, and I know it's supposed to be that way. It's meant to be that way. It's been that way since issue number 1. But this cruise ship story has not been very good. Anyway, the issue has Bobby dealing with an old ex who's stalking her, the Phantom Rider. She assembles her nerd team to take on the Ghost. Maybe the best part of the book is the team that she assembles are actual real life nerds. Like, they go through all these people in this book. They're real life people. Keith Baker is a game designer, mostly known for working on D&D's Eberron setting. If you're familiar with that, it was kind of his brainchild. Mark Mohan is a writer and husband to Chelsea Kane, who's writing the book. John Roderick is a musician, as are Paul and Storm and Angela and Audrey Weber. And they're all from Seattle. So I guess they're all friends. That's the only thing I can think of is why these people have ended up in this book. So anyway, some feminist pirates show up thwarting the Phantom's plans. So he settles for punching Bobby in the face and throwing her into the ocean, where she's saved by a group of mer corgis because they're in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle, and that just makes sense. It's all really silly, and it's the last issue. It's canceled after this issue. What happened to Chelsea Kane is unfortunate and absolutely uncalled for, but I'm glad the book's done.
Yeah, it's not. The book didn't need to be canceled because of the cover. The book needed to be canceled because this last storyline was bad. The first storyline, the first 5 issues was very good.
Yeah, the first 5 issues are good.
These last 3 just weren't. I don't know what happened.
It was just a little too silly for my tastes. This might appeal to somebody. I'm sure it appealed to plenty of people. I enjoyed the first of this book, particularly the one where she saves the little superpowered girl on the roof or whatever. That's probably the best issue of this series. That are the ones where she's running around the SHIELD facility with Spider-Man in his underwear and Howard the Duck. But yeah, it just wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But screw everyone who harassed the crap out of Chelsea Kane. You can all just suck it.
Yeah.
What was pretty good was Black Widow number 7.
Yeah, it was all right. As a young girl, I don't know how old she is. What do you think? 10 or 11, something like that?
You talking about Black Widow?
Yes.
In the sequences where she's young here?
Yes.
Yeah, about that, yeah.
She's assigned to go assassinate her first person, and she assassinates the dad, and then she realizes that she has to assassinate the witness who's his son that's beside him, and she assassinates him, not realizing that the other son is asleep in the back seat.
Right.
Then we fast forward to the future, and I don't know how we got here. I feel like I didn't read the last issue, or I missed something, or I don't know. Somewhere I missed something. So anyway, so we fast forward to the last issue, and the son has grown up and assisting Natasha on a mission, and they complete the mission, and he's helping her, and then he's swearing vengeance upon her as she leaves. Anyway, there you go.
Oh, I see where you sent me that A-Force cover. I've seen worse, but yeah, it's
out of character. It's gratuitous, and it's out of character for those characters.
Yes.
I mean, you've never seen them wearing those type of outfits, and you've never seen them wearing those type of clothes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my point with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Black Widow. I remember what was happening. She basically found out the secrets behind the Weeping Lion who was blackmailing her, and now she's going to go deal with it, which is what she does at the end of this book.
Right. So I mean, yeah, it's not bad. It's just, it's okay.
Yeah.
I remember if I read this Doctor Strange book.
Oh.
That I'm supposed to be reviewing.
Marvel wouldn't let me open the book, so I had
I don't think I did.
I had to give it to you because I don't remember what happened in it.
I'm scanning it very quickly because I don't think I did.
I can tell you that the Dr. Thor Sorcerer Supremes book is pretty good.
I'm looking. Hang on. I'm looking.
Oh, we can skip Doctor Strange.
We'll skip Doctor Strange because I'm telling you, I don't see much that I understand here.
Yeah. So Mighty Thor number 12. It's the origins of Mjolnir. Mjolnir flies Thor.
Come back to me in a minute.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Mjolnir flies Thor to the halls of the All-Knowing.
This is pretty funny, by the way.
Yeah, which is basically a big space library. Here she learns how Mjolnir came to be. Odin helped the dwarves fight some trolls, and as a gift of appreciation, they gave him a piece of Uru, which is the inforgeable metal. One day, and Odin's reaction to this is pretty Odin-like. It's what you would expect. So one day, Odin asks them to forge it into a hammer. Many dwarves died to bring us this information. Wrong universe. Anyway, through a great deal of work, they made the hammer through many sacrifices of dwarven lives. But it has a mind of its own, and it's unruly, so Odin puts these enchantments on it and tosses it in the basement for whenever Thor comes along. You got some art by Fraser Irving in here, and that's probably the best part of this book.
That was...
It was certainly the most worthy portion of this book.
That was good. I thought it was a good book.
The art was good. I didn't really, I don't know. I kind of don't care about the origins of Mjolnir. Also, I don't like watching Odin be a dick. So
at this point, that's what Odin is.
Yeah, I know, but
I haven't seen him not be a jerk in 10 years.
Yeah, that's a good point. It was just like, dang, man, you're Odin. Quit it.
Dude, when has he not been a jerk?
I don't know. Always. It just irritates me.
Yeah, Doctor Strange, the issue begins with him having the life he always wished he had. And turns out he's in the realm of nightmare.
Yeah.
And he finally escapes the realm of nightmare only to wake up in essentially hell where things just get worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, things just keep getting worse for Doctor Strange.
Well, he's just lost his power, and he doesn't have the power to keep all these people at bay who want to attack him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then we have Deadpool Back in Black number 2, which, did you read this?
No. Okay. I forgot to read Doctor Strange. I intentionally didn't read Daredevil or Deadpool Back in Black.
Okay, because I read it and I enjoyed it. So if
I knew
you don't
you
remember
did,
from the first issue, From the first issue, Deadpool has gone back to the 80s where he is now in possession of the Clintar suit, the Venom symbiote. And now he's Venom symbiote powered Deadpool. And he's swinging around New York City. He's being followed by Thriller Kill, who wants to kill the Clintar. And that's when the Power Pack come in. I feel like this book was, the writer wanted to write a Power Pack story, so he like wedged it into a Deadpool book. The Power Pack are at a kid's birthday party at a, this pizza parlor, arcade, Chuck E. Cheese type place. When this drunken, awful clown shows up that's been hired to play the party, Obnoxio the clown, and he's just this drunk, fat, obnoxious, disgusting clown who's, imagine it's Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons. It's that kind of character, if you're familiar. Some aliens bust in and start trying to invade the place. The Power Pack jump into action. That's when Deadpool shows up after the Power Pack get their butt kicked by these lizard aliens. Lots of Deadpool fighting and jokes and so forth. With the help of Deadpool, the Power Pack, and Obnoxio the Clown, they're able to beat these aliens. And
you enjoyed this?
It was funny. I like Obnoxio the Clown. He was funny.
Okay.
You read the other Deadpool stuff. Why don't you enjoy it?
I'm just.
Are you Deadpooled out?
I don't know. I'm Deadpooled out, and the first issue didn't get me, and I'm over it, man.
I understand.
It's got to be a good Deadpool book, or I'm over it. And I didn't think the first issue was was good.
Okay.
Was dead. Let's leave it there. How about that?
I got you. Tell me about Patsy Walker.
Let me ask you something. Did you tell me a while back that they actually hired an Archie cartoonist to draw this?
Yeah, the girl that's writing or that's drawing this book is an Archie cartoonist.
Why?
Because that was the vibe they're going for with the book.
Well, they got it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not my style at all. At all. But it's the style that's there. I mean, it's definitely that Archie Comics style of art.
Yeah, and it's an Archie-like story as well. It's Archie with superpowers.
Yeah, I mean, we begin with a group called the Black Cats, basically vandalizing an uber rich guy's apartment, and they're just out doing their thing when they run into the real Black Cat, and I can't remember her name. So anyway, then we cut to, and this is on page, help me out here, page 8.
Yeah.
Where Patsy and Jubilee are training the young girl with the purse, whose name I can't remember. And that's where it just really looks like something from Archie. I mean, it just looks bad, man. Or maybe good, maybe great, depending on your style of art.
Felicia Hardy is her name.
Yeah, maybe if you like this style of art, it looks great. But to me, it looks like you've got weebles walking around in the room. I don't know. Anyway, so and what's that girl's name? Because she's important.
Jubilee?
No, not Jubilee.
I think this is probably the best place for Jubilee, though. I mean, Jubilee's always been kind of a ridiculous character. Bailey, okay.
Yeah. So Bailey's got that magic purse that you can hide or fit anything in.
Yeah.
So, and Duder's there, the bisexual Duder that Patsy's sharing an apartment with. And
yeah.
He's all upset. So he leaves and Patsy chases after him to figure out what's wrong with him. And the Black Cat splits up the Black Cats, and 2 of them go after Patsy and 2 of them go after Bailey and her purse. And turns out, what an amazing coincidence that the 2 of them that go after Patsy, one of them is actually Duder's ex-girlfriend. And they see Patsy and Duder together and think, they're together. And, Patsy tries to explain that they're not together because, he's together with a dude, and, they wind up fighting. And while that's going on, the Black Cat gets the purse that can magically hold anything, and it's to be continued. It wasn't a bad story. It was actually an entertaining story, and I enjoy the Patsy Walker book. This art is just not something that's my style at all. I'm just not into the art. I really enjoyed this story, and this is one of the better Patsy Walker stories that have come out. I'm just not into the art style.
I understand. It's not for everybody.
No.
It's a very modern cartoonist style. It is not Japanese anime style, but it is influenced by that style. There's been this confluence of American animation and Japanese animation, and the two merged somewhere. And where they merged is kind of what you get with this Patsy Walker book.
Sure.
Where it's American style art with Japanese influences. And I understand why it wouldn't be everybody's cup of tea.
Sure. Now, let's discuss something before you review Squirrel Girl 13, which you're about to review.
Sure.
Earlier, I reviewed, if you want to call it that, Astonishing Ant-Man 13. 13-issue run, just finished, began right after the movie came out. That was a horrible 13-issue run. Marvel desperately wanted it to succeed because, obviously they've got a hit movie on their hands. They've got a character that's going to be in subsequent movies, sequel coming out. Yeah, they really wanted the character to work. And it just didn't. Now, why didn't it work? Because it was bad writing. You take the same character, you put him in the Squirrel Girl book, and you tell me what happens.
You end up with a really funny Scott Lang.
Yes. You wind up with an entertaining Scott Lang. If you had this Scott Lang, whoever wrote this Scott Lang was in his own book, I would buy it.
Yeah, put Ryan North writing Ant-Man. Let's do it.
But they didn't, so the book bombed. But you put him in Squirrel Girl, and he's hilarious. Because you got somebody that knows what to do with him.
And this is why when we say we really enjoy Brian Michael Bendis writing Iron Man, it's because certain writers portray certain characters in certain ways that is true to their form. It's true to their nature. And Brian Michael Bendis understands Tony Stark and is able to write him that way. And to me, the Ant-Man in this book is more of what you want to see out of Scott Lang than what you got in the actual Ant-Man solo title.
Brian Michael Bendis has been writing so many characters for so long. What he does is he just steps back, looks at the character, and says, okay, this is who this guy should be, or this is my interpretation of who this guy should be. And more often than not, 99 times out of 100, gets it right because he doesn't try and make the character something he's not, which in so many of these books that fail is what the writer does. He tries to make the character something he's not. And we won't even talk about trying to make Captain America a Hydra agent.
Dude. It's just,
Anyway, tell us about Squirrel Girl, because it was hilarious.
So at the end of the last issue, they found this villain who can split himself into two. He can basically multiply infinitely.
And every time you hit him, he
splits in two.
He splits in two.
So they're fighting this guy because he's gonna. The consensus is that if there are enough of him, he can take over the world. So they're in this cabin in the woods, Squirrel Girl and her mom and her friends, and they're trying to get back to civilization so that they can warn somebody. So they find out that once they get back into cell phone range, they find out he's trying to take over the world. They enlist help from Brain Drain, who's a brain in a jar, who through logic and algorithms decides that his plan of action should be steal Scott Lang while he's asleep and steal a jet that he's holding on to, that Scott Lang is responsible for. So he flies the jet to Canada with Scott Lang, who wakes up and is all kinds of confused about where he is.
And doesn't like Canada very much.
No, doesn't like Canada at all. He discusses with Squirrel Girl about what to do about this. They decide to canoe back to America, all the while having a conversation about ants and how, or squirrels and ants, and how their powers work, essentially. Squirrel Girl negotiates with the squirrels and asks them for help, whereas Ant-Man just tells them what to do.
And she is greatly offended by that.
Yes. So later they find out that Ant-Man keeps a miniaturized vehicle in his pocket at all times. It turns out to be a van, so Ant-Man drives an ant van, which is one of the jokes made in the book. That was definitely not the plan, man. They run into, at this point, this guy who can split himself into multiples has basically taken over the police forces and everything else and has shut down all the roads and borders. So they run into a crew of this guy, get into a fist fight with him, blow up the van. Nothing good happens. They lose the fight. They don't know how they're going to beat this guy. And they finally figure out the best way to do it is to not with their fists, but with their minds at the end of this issue. And yeah, man, it just continues to be a consistently funny book, The Squirrel Girl.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, fantastic. Always good. No Star Wars books this week. I think we get a couple next week. That's pretty much all the books. Pat, what was your favorite?
I'm going to go Infamous Iron Man #1.
That was an early contender for me. But you know what I'm going to go with?
You're going to go with that.
You already know.
Stupid
Spider-Gwen
13.
13. Heck yeah, it is. Spider-Gwen 13 was the best thing out this week. By a mile.
Dude, the book was awful.
The book was great. The book was fantastic.
And you're telling me it's better? Never mind. Go on.
Tell us about
better
what was
than
in
Death of X. Better than
yes,
dude.
So let's move on. Tell me about the dump this week.
I don't even know what's in the dump. You got me so distracted.
Okay.
I
think it was a bunch of X-Force books.
Is this the Power Pack dump or no? The X-Force was last week.
Was it? Okay.
Or is there more X-Force books this week?
I think it might have been a handful more X-Force books.
They're getting rid of those X-Force. Yeah, this is more X-Force books. We're in the 50s and 60s now.
Yeah. Yeah, they dumped a ton of that X-Force stuff in there.
It's coming, man.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's coming, and they dumped some Shanna stuff, some She-Devil stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff. They're always at the tail end. There's like some weird stuff.
Yeah, and I tell you what they did this week too. And I hate it when they do this. The books come out on Monday. Now we've discussed this before.
Mm-hmm.
I have texted you before, and we won't discuss your sleeping schedule, but you're always up early on Monday mornings. When I get up to go to work on Monday mornings, about 5:30 or 6, if the new books are not there, I get irritated. By the time I get to work about 7 or 7:30, if I'm not seeing the new comic books, I'm really irritated. So Monday morning, the new books hit. There's 43 books. Like sometime Friday or Saturday, they add 3 or 4 books. And it's not, a lot of times they'll dump more books. You know, they're like, add more X-Force books. No. They dumped the new comic, that book from May and another book on the front end.
Yeah.
It's just, they'll just randomly throw something in there. Oh, here you go. Just throw it in there.
Yeah, taking absolutely no consideration of those of us who have to read all these books to do a podcast later.
No, and just if you just happen to randomly be looking, they just here it goes.
Yeah, here it is.
Here it is. Hey, did X-Men vs. Avengers come out this week, or was that last week?
X-Men vs. Avengers?
Yes.
That was a while ago. That was AVX.
No. The X-Men vs. Avengers miniseries.
Oh, like the super old one?
Yes. From 1987.
Yeah, well, that's 2 years before I existed. But anyway.
Super old. Dude, super old is like the 60s or 70s. 87 isn't that old.
You're right. I think that was this week. Or might have been last week. I don't know, but it was there recently.
That's a good limited series. That's pretty good, actually. It's not great. It's good. And because what happened is the Professor X, I don't know, I think he and Lilandra went off to
have space sex or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. They went off to be together. So the X-Men had a group of limited series. It's like the X-Men versus Fantastic Four, the X-Men versus Avengers. There's like 3 or 4 limited series where the X-Men took on different groups. And this is the first one. I'm hoping I haven't read this one, and I haven't read the X-Men versus Fantastic Four. I'm hoping to see that one soon.
Yeah. You know what? The most recent batch of X-Men books have, with a few exceptions, Death of X is an exception, and the Extraordinary X-Men book is mostly an exception. And maybe it's about to get better with IVX, but they just haven't been very good. So I decided. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I decided to revisit some really good X-Men. And that was Grant Morrison's run on New X-Men back from 2001. It starts with New X-Men number 114. Grant Morrison writing it. Frank Quitely is doing the art. And I think part of what drew me to this was Death of X. The art styles are very similar. And I'd forgotten how much I enjoyed this art style when applied to the X-Men. But you've got... What I enjoyed about this is this book is kind of a pivot towards the modern day X-Men. You've got Scott leading the team. Jean Grey's alive again, but Emma Frost is also kind of still around. Beast is in his Beast form. And it's just this whole run is just the X-Men doing what the X-Men do. And it's just, beating villains and just doing X-Men stuff. And particularly this first, villain that they in this run that they deal with is it's basically Professor Xavier's evil twin sister. And yeah, I really enjoyed this run. It's not some of the earliest X-Men stuff that I read, but it was the stuff that I was reading as a teenager that was really influential in how I conceive the X-Men in my mind, and how the modern characters have evolved. And it's a great run. It's fantastic. And it shows what Grant Morrison can do when you keep him on a leash.
You read it as a teenager. Holy cow, man.
It was 2001. I'd have been 12, 13.
Good Lord. You're such a child.
I know. But, and it's also, this particular run on the X-Men is the pivot point from like the 90s X-Men to what we know as the X-Men today. It was kind of the modern iteration of the X-Men. It went from what you used to have to what you have now. Everything that's happening with the X-Men today, you can trace back to this particular run. This is when the team became what it was, and it really took the X-Men in a new direction.
You were 12 or 13. I was 37.
Yep.
Yeah. It's when you were a teenager and started hanging out at my house.
Yeah, thereabouts.
Anywho, hey, by the way, I have recently purchased X-Men Prime, X-Men Gold.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get number 1, but yeah. Anyway, they're restoring X-Men to the status quo of what it was,
and
it's much better. It's better than it's been in years.
Okay, good. That's what it needed to be.
Yes.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yes, I won't tell you who the villains are, who's on the teams, anything like that. But they've returned it to where it should be, and we've discussed this before. It's if you want the Avengers, okay, you take Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, and you fight Kane. Period.
Yeah.
That's what you do. All right. If you want the X-Men, you take this, and this, and you fight X. That's what you do. It's not a complicated formula. And somebody at Marvel finally decided to return them to it.
Good. That's encouraging to hear, because I really like the X-Men when they're good. I love the X-Men, and they needed to get good again.
Yeah. So I know X-Men Gold is. I haven't read X-Men Blue yet. So,
okay.
Anyway.
Either way, I'm sure it'll be just as good. Well, we've talked about a bunch of comic books today.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. So that pretty much wraps us up. If you want to get in touch with us, please email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
The website is the number 6monthsbehind.com.
And Pat, do you have any wisdom for our true believers before we get out of here this week?
When people tell me you're going to regret that in the morning, I just sleep until noon because I'm a problem solver.
All right, then. See you guys next week.
Peace.